These senseless acts have sparked renewed calls for action to protect children, especially in vulnerable communities, and to address the root cause of violence. Joining us now to speak more on this is Gugu, who's the CEO of Save the Children South Africa, an organization that has long been advocating for safer environments for children. Ma'am Gugu, thank you so much for your time and joining us this afternoon. I mean, just last year alone, in the first 6 months of 2024, in the Western Cape, 60 children were killed due to gang violence within that area. Why are we failing our children, particularly in the Cape Flats?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for the question. As Save the Children South Africa, our view is that it's more of a systemic problem. And I'm sure you'd agree that the country has seen the levels of crime growing alarmingly so. And so it means even gangsterism is going to grow. And now the question is, what are we doing systematically to make sure that we can reduce or control the consequences of so much crime? When you think of gang violence, it started because some people were trying to protect themselves and they decided to use violence to protect themselves. Unfortunately, now our own children are experiencing the consequences of people trying to protect themselves. So the question is, because now the state must come in to strengthen policing, the community must come in with community policing forums that are stronger than what we have right now, so that we can isolate the gangsters and be able to reduce the effects of what they're doing. I mean, right now we see none of them have been found so that they can answer for this. That tells you that our policing needs to be more vigilant than what it is right now, because the communities at this point cannot do much about it except policing. Thank you.
And it's amazing how much communities have tried to do. I mean, from what Nasipi was speaking about in parents not wanting their children to go to the tuck shop or even go to parks. I know in areas such as Hanover Park, where you find mothers who would create a human bus and just put children inside for them to be able to walk to school and back, because even just a walk to school could certainly mean that this is the burial of a child, the end of that child's life. What more do you think needs to be done? Surely there's been so many interventions over the years. We've had commissions, we've had conversations with regards to the safety and gang violence that has been sporadically moving out of place within areas such as the Cape Flats. What more do you really think needs to be done in order for there to be put a stop to this? For a child, a 3-month-old child, to have men walk into their home and take their lives in the way that it happened this morning?
As I mentioned, our policing needs to be better than what it is right now. For instance, we know that the Western Cape is affected by gangsterism, which means we should be having police that focus just on gangsters. And they can learn all the tactics that they are using, and we are able to reduce the levels of gangsterism. And what we've seen, even other provinces are catching on gangsterism. So it means if, as a policing platform, we are not wise enough by now, it means it's going to be overwhelming when almost all provinces are affected by gangsterism. So it's more on the policing so that we can be able to reduce the crime that is taking place. And then communities can also come in because it's affecting them, which means communities need to be up in arms, one, to make sure that the policing in their own areas is more sensitive than it is right now in order for us to curb the violence. Violence through gangsterism is affecting schools, it's affecting families, so it's affecting almost the whole life of a household. So we need to do something about it through policing and community interventions. Thank you.
The Western Cape Premier, Alan Winde, has called for the devolution of police powers in the Western Cape from national to a provincial level. Do you think that bringing that decision-making power closer to the source, that will it assist in curbing the violence, like you say?
As Save the Children, we don't think that could be a solution. I'm saying this because you don't try and centralize a system simply because you feel it's not effective when it is managed from the national platform. The question is, what is the cause of such loose policing? And let's find the cause and let's deal with it per each of the provinces so that we can make sure that all provinces are changing the way they do things. Thus, I am saying we need a group of police that are focusing on gangsterism in each of these provinces. In that way, you have intelligence that can deal specifically with gangsterism. But centralizing it, I don't think is the solution. Thank you.
And other socio-economic factors that contribute to gangsterism, especially in places such as the Western Cape. How do you think concurrently, while we're fixing our policing, we should be looking into other factors such as unemployment, the high rise in drug use and abuse within those areas that consequently then also affect the high rate of gangsterism within those areas?
Yes, Katlego, you are very right. Most of the social problems, you do not have one solution to fix everything. And that is why you need a multifactorial solution. And you are right when you say it could be poverty that is contributing to people falling into gangsters. It could be the drug abuse, the substance abuse. So all those particular causes or contributory factors must be dealt with to reduce its effects, and thus you will be able to even reduce the number of people that want to be part of gangs, and eventually you can solve the problem. But you can't deal with gangsterism only because it's telling you that there's a bigger problem than just gangsterism. There's more about people having time, idle time, put them in employment, remove or reduce the substances that are being used, reduce the inequality, and get people to be more comfortable socially so that they don't look for solutions that are harmful. Thank you.
What do you make of the moral campus of South Africans? I mean, many of these gangsters that commit these heinous crimes, a lot of the times are young people themselves. I think within the case of Esme, it was a 26-year-old young gentleman. Do you think that we have moved away from morality and how we view just children within our society, that you have adults, and I mean, in some cases it may be a stray bullet, but just knowing that you could be endangering the life of a child. Do you think our thinking as a society needs to shift?
You are right again, because we've said it that the level of violence started by us as a society ignoring the little violence that is happening in our homes where our children were beaten and physically injured. And now it has grown to a level that there's so much insensitivity, such that the people that decide that they will cause a crime, they don't care. They can take a life. And that means we've moved out of having a good moral fiber to a point whereby we need to change our mindset. We need to change the way we view even our own lives, because the value of life has completely gone out. And if people don't care about the value of life, it means we've got a bigger problem, and we need different solutions to deal with that. We need to deal with the trauma that we've gone through as a people so that we become more sensitive and care more about other lives. Thank you.
And not to mention the trauma that is being exposed to those children that are being left behind after such incidences. Thank you so much for joining us and for your time. That was Gugu, the CEO of Save the Children South Africa.